goodness. Oh my grace. Come here, biscuit. Come on. Get prepared. Get ready. Hey guys.
Hello.
Chug.
How's it going?
Hola.
Sounds good.
You're
Hola.
alive. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I know. Bottom line is, I underestimated what a pain in the ass it is to take a 80-pound dog on 1,000-mile road trip in an electric car. So the worries between what to do with the dog and knock that off and where I'm going to charge. And I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad I could check it off. And guess what? I'm going to start flying again.
Everybody says you can take dogs anywhere now. Is that true?
That is not true. In fact, what I have found actually is that the shittiest hotels are the ones that have the most stringent policies against dogs. Like you would pull up to this rat hole that I wouldn't sleep in. I wouldn't let my dog sleep there. Actually, there was a Tesla Charger and there was a little motel that I was going to stay at, and I went in there and they're like, "Sorry, no dogs." I was like, "Seriously? I mean, there's a dog shit right there on the carpet in your lobby." I mean, what?
No, sir, that's human.
Yeah, that's human feces, sir. So how, y'all doing okay? Everybody doing well?
Yeah, doing
Jen,
good.
where are you going?
I'm going to Vermont. And do you know why?
No.
Because Bill likes to play frisbee golf, and Smuggler's Notch, which I believe is a Four Seasons resort, has one of the best.
Wow.
So that's where we're going.
You know, it sounds like he's going to owe you after this trip.
Dude, I'm just
like
happy. Dude, I'm on red line mode, so I'm just going to be happy to white knuckle it through the flight and relax for a few days.
Good.
So.
You'll have a nice time. Yeah. But yeah, you're banking points, girl, in that marriage. You got to bank points.
You need to tell Bill this.
I think
he thinks that it's a gift for a woman, a wife, to be able to play frisbee golf with her husband.
I'll let you. I'll just say hi and let you run the interview. And if I have any questions,
right.
I'll
Jordan,
just dip it. I will.
How much you want to make a bet right away? Harry's gonna be like,
I haven't even read the. I mean, I glanced at them. How can they be the number 2 T? Is that just because Twisted is the only other one?
I think
that's what Jen and I were talking about.
Yeah, I think it's a narrow scan read, and also it's like FMBT. So I think some of the others are segmented differently, but we'll let Kyle tell us too, right? But I did double check some of his stats with BWC, and they were like, well, that sounds a little high, but we're looking at a 52-week read, and so depending on their cut, it very well could be true, and that kind of jives.
Definitely, it probably is like in the Northeast where they're strong. And also, do they live at the Hamptons, or is that just where Summer House is?
That's what Jay and I were talking about. I don't know. It's like a Massachusetts brand, but
is there still a Summer House there? In other words, didn't a hurricane just blow through?
Is it a set built in Massachusetts? We'll have to ask Kyle that.
They rent that house.
Yeah,
Bravo rents it. They live in Manhattan.
Reb in Manhattan. Okay. How are you, Millie?
I'm stressing. Ella starts school tomorrow, and so I'm on my cell phone listening to a conference call about mask and shit, and that's why I'm gonna mute myself and I don't have my screen on, because this is what I look like right now. I'm on this one and this one. So
look at that mic, Jordan. Look at that mic. Look at that thing. Let me hear you. Let me see you say something. Oh my gosh, you sound perfect. I've never heard anybody sound so good. In the history of this podcast.
It is pretty sweet.
So on my trip, I was listening to some of our old podcasts, and I was like, that we've had like 35 podcasts and none of us have ever introduced ourselves yet.
Oh, wow.
So.
Oh, no one cares about that.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
They are.
I mean, if they don't know who I am, they shouldn't be in the beer business in the first place. Hello, Nick.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you.
I was just telling these guys, we just started the podcast. We just assumed everybody knew who we were. I listened to all of them, and we never, not once, have introduced who we are. I'd like to introduce myself. Can I introduce myself? My name is Harry Schumacher. I'm the editor, publisher in chief. You know what? What am I?
You're the publisher.
I'm the president of
and the
Shoemaker
founder.
Publishing. I'm the founder. Some people now, D. Faust called me the podfather of beer. So
Good.
Podfather.
I'm going to go ahead and appropriate that. And then we have Jenn curse.
Hurts. Jesus, how long have I worked for you?
Executive, executive editor, and then we have Jordan Driggers, who is an associate editor. So, all right. So, Jenn, I'll let you introduce our guests.
Yeah, well, I'm actually meeting Nick for the first time, but we have Nick and Kyle, and they're going to tell us all about.
Hello, Kyle.
Hey, good to see you again.
Hey, how are you?
I can't complain.
How's it over there? Did you guys escape Henry, or is it bad?
Yeah, actually, no, we as in people that were out in the Hamptons thought we were going to get hit. I mean, our house was actually in the eye of the storm. And then we left Saturday and it actually missed, like the eye of the storm missed the Hamptons altogether. And then I think by the time it hit like Block Island or Rhode Island, I think it might've been like a tropical, downgraded. So could have been worse.
Yeah. We'll take that in 2021, right? So
exactly.
So we have, Kyle, Cooke, and Nick. What's your last name?
Califano.
Califano.
Nice Irish name.
Good. We love that. And you guys are the powerhouses behind the powerhouse brand Loverboy, yes?
Indeed. Yeah. I guess I'll take that.
Yeah. Well, and so, this brand is popping up everywhere, right? Obviously popularized on Summer House. I believe you guys even concepted it on Summer House, right? And so the consumer has kind of seen it every step of the way. And I'm a fan of athleisure. I don't know if you could tell athleisure wear, but I just saw in my inbox you guys did a partnership with Therese athleisure wear. So
the merchant apparel has almost become a business in of itself.
Yeah.
By the time we outsourced it, like fulfillment, because we were fulfilling all our own orders for that first year. Now that we've outsourced it, it's just taken off.
Wow.
And that was like our first true collab with an apparel brand.
Yeah. Well, I guess the whole point is that you guys are a bona fide lifestyle brand, right? And it seems pretty organic, which is incredible. And it seems like you guys are making a lot of traction with that so you just told me, Kyle, that you guys are in less than like 1% of off-premise accounts. And yet you're like somehow the number 2 selling hard tea FMB. Now, is that true? And what's driving that? How could that be?
Yeah. So I actually ran the numbers, and by the time that report came out, we were probably a little more than 1%. So I'm somewhere between 1% and 2%. Now, from a weighted distribution standpoint, probably a little higher, but I mean, we're about to turn on 4 new markets, bringing it to a total of 16. And so, we've come a long way since last summer, whereas at this time we were turning on our 4th, which was New Hampshire. So I think there's just the level of excitement and engagement that we're seeing behind every merch drop. Speaking of merch, new product launch, new market launch, it's unprecedented just in terms of the engagement that we're getting. So it's awesome to see that type of excitement.
Right. And you kind of told me that you guys are doing a major national push, right? Like some 43 states by next year. Is that via distributors in regular retail? Because I know you guys also have a huge DTC component.
Yeah. So to go in reverse order, our DTC, wine-based cocktails are not only a way to really elevate the brand, they're ultra premium canned cocktails at like $6 a pop. It was also a way to kind of leapfrog distribution to test new concepts in rapid, fashion. And, we did a bunch of spritz flavors. Then we launched our espresso martini, and the response behind the espresso martini has been so strong that we actually think we're going to take that through traditional retail now. So it's kind of an innovation lab and a Trojan horse into every market, right? If we know we have more DTC orders in California than any other unlaunched market, we already know we have a customer base.
Yep. Right.
And we own all that customer data because it's through Shopify.
Right. But then ultimately you probably want to go through the distributors. You're just testing it to make sure there's
Ultimately, we are building out a nationwide network of the best in class beer wholesalers. And, we were certainly taking our time to kind of, cut our teeth and build up some momentum and some leverage. And now every single distributor that we partner with is having to make a sizable investment in CPC. But they see the brand equity and they see the pull that we can bring as a premium brand in this emerging, category. So whether we're expanding a state's footprint or opening a state, as a new market, I think we have plans to either expand or launch 43 states in the next 9 months.
And you said big name distributors, right? Do they tend to be AB distributors, Molson Coors distributors, a mix?
It's a mix. I mean, we like to kind of go both sides of the aisle and take the time to vet them and understand the fit. We work with Manhattan Beer here in the city. We work with Reyes in a couple markets. We are certainly having a ton of great success with AB houses, probably because we kind of fill a more obvious void in their portfolio. But I think, either or, and once in a blue moon, we'll partner with a craft distributor if it proves to be the right fit and the right market for that type of play.
I think it goes best in class, right? And then once you get through that layer, it's then where are we the best fit in whose portfolio, who's really going to have our brand in mind, as we're fighting within the different portfolios of the distributor,
Right.
Where's the right
and
fit?
When there's a perfect fit, you take our brand equity and our pull, you pair it with the best in class distributor. You take Lakeshore Beverage in Chicagoland, for example. The launch month, we were the number 4 hard seltzer in Chicagoland. Now the kind of like, honeymoon has fizzled a little bit. We're probably number 8. But that's with significantly less distribution, and we're still working that up, right? So I think I shared, some of those data points. We're in less than 50% of weighted distribution in Chicagoland, and every brand on that top 10 list is either, 80 to 99%.
Does those are all, awesome stats. It speaks to the power of the brand, but still, you have a hard tea brand, you have the martini, you have the spritz. They still, to me, kind of fit in the seltzer universe insofar as they're functional, right? And they kind of resonate with that kind of the seltzer drinker, I would think. Does the slowdown of seltzer scare you guys at all?
No, actually, to be honest, it was so out of control.
Right.
When we were formulating spring of 2018, we were really the first to take a hard tea and truly have it meet a hard seltzer from a nutrition call out standpoint, make it light, refreshing, all that good stuff. Obviously, now I think our white tea peach 6-pack outsells over 250 hard seltzers. And back when we formulated, there was probably 10. So to some degree, I think it got so crowded that the retailers, distributors didn't even know what to make of it, right? Like alcohol kind of lags behind consumer trends. And, you have retailers that are still allocating way too much, on a volume and dollar standpoint, for craft, for example. So they're still catching up. But yeah, I think, look, most of our target consumers, really someone who's looking to kind of upgrade their hard seltzer, better quality ingredients, a little more flavor, and a brand with a true story. And I think, it was bound to slow just because it was on such a tear. I really think now you're going to see, some thinning of the herd, and also it'll segment, right? So we made a bet early on that we want to be the number 1 premium brand. And I think as it evolves, it'll segment and it'll kind of stratify, from a pricing standpoint.
What is your pricing? The super premium, or what brand out there that you'd be matching?
We might be just kind of neck and neck with like a High Noon from an FOB standpoint. I don't take my, I don't know,
Okay.
But on average, we're $40 front line for, our price to retailer, and where that lands on the shelf per 6-pack is anywhere between like $11.99 and $13.99, generally speaking. Of course, you have outliers.
Right.
So that puts us, several bucks up in comparison to like a White Claw or Truly. but our retailers are actually making more, per square inch selling Loverboy than they are mainstream hard seltzer. So we at one point we were told by distributors, if you don't have a 12-pack variety pack, forget about it. Now we're being told by the retailers, hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. You're a premium brand. I love your margins. Don't touch it.
And just to confirm, you guys are all either malt or wine based, but selling at high noon prices, right? Which is liquor based.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're quite high noon, right? So they're charging like, I don't know the latest, but maybe like $9.99 for a 4-pack. We're on a per can basis, probably a little less, but yeah, we have a proprietary sugar based blend and yeah, the ability to command those premiums. I mean, every single one of our distributors makes over $10 per case, which is great. If you can create a premium brand, all 3 tiers win if it pulls.
Right.
What's your favorite brand? What's your favorite flavor? And what's the best selling flavor?
White tea peach is by an edge on a hibiscus, the #1 seller. It all started, quite frankly, with our lemon iced tea because I wanted to make a premium 0 sugar alternative to Twisted. I can't choose a favorite. We came out with a chai, so we're the first hard chai. Chai's in every Starbucks, so it's all about catering to our demo, and I love it. So now this might actually be my favorite. We're actually launching one in the spring that I can't reveal the flavor, but that seems to be everybody's new favorite. So we're just trying to continue to innovate.
Kyle, do you drink the chai in the morning?
I'm not gonna lie, it's dangerously refreshing and it has 0 alcohol taste. So I've been known to.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle, this is Jordan here. You mentioned it was kind of an upgrade to seltzers. I'm wondering, have y'all got any sort of read on where you're sourcing volume from? And I'm also curious, how incremental do you think it is to beer? Because my sister, she doesn't drink seltzers, beer, any malt-based beverage, and she knows all about this.
She knows all about Loverboy?
Oh, yeah. Well, you, and then...
I like to hear. Yeah, I mean, we have a platform, right? So that's the original, pull, and it's really the winning taste that brings them back. Everybody will go out of their way to buy a brand just for kicks, but we really wanted to deliver on the taste. So yeah, I think, look, 3 years ago, I looked at hard seltzer and it kind of looked like everyone was going to have the same playbook because everybody did at the time. Sugar beer, gram or 2 of sugar, and natural flavors. Quite frankly, really easy to differentiate if you start using some premium ingredients like organic brewed tea, which, as far as I'm concerned, that's a 0-calorie addition to flavor to your hard seltzer, right? You can add a little touch of, juices and juice concentrates, as long as you don't go over that 0.5 threshold in the sugar department. Add a little flavor, add a little color, bring those things to life with monk fruit. As far as I know, we're the only brand that's gotten to this stage that's using monk fruit, which, again, all these ingredients are more expensive, but in the grand scheme of thing, when you add in your tolling fee for co-packing and your packaging costs, it's kind of an obvious way to simply differentiate and command a premium price, right? We can't compete at scale, right, with mainstream hard seltzers, so why bother?
Is there a draft or an on-premise play that you think could be significant, or do you think that seltzer really doesn't live there the way that some of the big seltzer makers say it could?
I mean, I feel like every day, and that might be an exaggeration, but we have so many different on-premise accounts pre-COVID, and now it's starting back up again, saying, please, I'm so sick of serving like these ubiquitous hard seltzers, which, by the way, from a taste standpoint, to your point, Jordan, I think people kind of get tired of that like metallic taste from those bare minimum ingredients in the average hard seltzer. Our brand, on premise makes a lot of sense because most venues want to actually improve their brand equity and look for ways to differentiate. If you're serving the same canned beverages that are in every fraternity and sorority in the country, and you're trying to cater to like a 25, 30, 35, 45-year-old, how does that make sense for a bar, right? Like, What if you can provide a better tasting product that's elevated and more premium and actually improves your brand equity if you're a bar owner? So that's really what we're trying to arm our distributors with from like a talking point standpoint. Like, this is an easy way to differentiate and not feel like you're kind of just giving in to this, seltzer craze.
I think we actually still have a lot more to talk about, but I'll go ahead and go for the jugular here. I mean, you're a young guy. You're obviously super ambitious. 2, 3 years down the road, is there a possibility that you guys could sell, or are you in this for the long haul?
If I wanted to pump and dump this thing, we already would have. We had 4 strategics throwing bids at us last summer. So that was over a year ago. And they're the big guys. Little hint. Our perspective last summer was we're only in 4 markets. We're just barely going.
Right.
I really think we've done a phenomenal job of turning Loverboy into like a lifestyle brand, and I want to make it a household name. I also don't want to have to put so much thought into my distribution network based on some type of strategic takeout, right? Because that might mean we're not going with best in class. Sure. We've had MDAs kind of dangled in front of us. We actually choose to strike way better agreements on our own instead of taking like that easy way out. Look, obviously if someone tries to come in and make an offer that's too good to turn down, that would put me in a tight position. But I've been doing my own thing for 20 years. Nick quit finance over a decade ago. I don't know what we would do if we weren't doing this. And it's as challenging as it is building a brand in a pandemic with crazy supply chain issues. Nick can walk you through how many cans we've imported from Asia, but it's been fun, but I don't know what we would do otherwise.
Yeah.
And if I could, I think COVID kind of leveled the playing field a little bit, right? Everybody was experiencing supply chain challenges, just like we were as a small supplier, right? So even the big guys couldn't give you access to cans or production or anything like that. So, we spent a lot of hours trying to figure out our supply chain and have backups to the backups, and we've imported, we've navigated these global supply chain issues, imported over 12 million cans, the first half of this year to make sure that we had runway to grow the way we wanted to grow. And I almost feel like working through all of that, it's a crash course on how to extend this long term, right? So we're not sort of beholden to having to rely on anybody else, right? We're pretty confident in ourselves and the way we could grow this. And then with the platform, it allows us to just kind of catapult this local feel of a brand to a national audience, right? So I think those two, the operational challenges that we've overcome, as well as the kind of frontline challenges of how do you get to your consumer? Well, we have that direct connect, right? So with those two pieces, I feel like we could sort of navigate anything going forward.
When we're in a market and I look at the planogram, we're looking at the cold box, and we're like one of the only independent brands amidst a sea of strategics and conglomerates and publicly traded companies that have spent hundreds of millions of dollars launching their brand extensions. It makes me pretty proud, and it makes me want to keep going.
Well, Jordan wrote a little bit about that yesterday, about how like all of last year's top dollar share gainers are this year, they're all seltzers, and they're all losing share this year to other seltzer basically and imports, because there's so much churn, right, Jay?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating to see how bright those seltzers burn, and then they just fade out very, very quickly. At least that's how it's going right now. Things might change, but
you've brilliantly done it ass backwards. Really, you're doing it the right way, but most people do it ass backwards. They start with the brand, and then they're like, okay, then they come with, who do we sell it to, instead of having the audience there and then building the brand. Which brings me to my next question is so, beyond Summer House, like, it's when it comes to an end, which, maybe it's a franchise that goes on forever. I don't know. But if it does come to an end and you move on, how do you keep that lifestyle going and that group of consumers cohesive and excited about it?
Well, not to do any spoiler alerts. Hopefully my producers aren't watching, but we got Winter House coming out this fall.
Really?
All right. That's what I'm talking about. Listen, we all three people to this podcast, I guarantee it won't get out too far. We're a tight-knit group. We keep our podcast to a tight, really small group of listeners.
It's somewhat public, but yeah, I mean, it's a great question. But yeah, I mean, we're always looking for ways to highlight what it takes to launch a brand, right? And show some behind the scenes. And I think that even if you don't have a TV show, there's this mentality to support that challenger brand. And oftentimes the byproduct is a better tasting product because you've got better quality ingredients, as I kind of outlined, right? So look, if all of a sudden Summer House came to a screeching halt, I mean, we have another season that we're recording now. It's going to air in, this first half of next year, setting us up kind of perfectly for that nationwide expansion. But if it comes to an end, I mean, we'd probably look for new ways to show people what we're doing. Maybe it's a show about, taking this nationwide. Maybe it's something we just shoot on YouTube. But I think what people love is just a little behind the scenes. And ironically, I don't have enough time as it is to do that.
Right. Yeah. It's hard enough putting out the regular product, much less putting out behind the scenes. And it takes an army, right? Yeah. So, and I might have asked you this last time we talked, but is there like a generational issue of going to the industry and talking to people in the industry like me, with white hair and trying to explain the concept to them, that this is a summer house. We've got all these 20 to 21 to 28 years. How do you get over that barrier?
I mean, look, I was not familiar with reality TV when this all started, but I looked at the demographics that Bravo had. It's the most affluent, educated audience on television. It's the #1 network among females, and women make 70% of purchases in the off-premise. To me, it was like the writing was on the wall, and actually it took me a couple of years to see it. I gave away a ton of product placement to Boston Beer those first couple of years. So the way I kind of just explain it is like, listen, like today and tomorrow's consumer is just moving so fast towards what they want, and they're used to getting what they demand. Mm-hmm. And the 3-tier system historically, in my opinion, did not respond to consumer trends and consumer demands like the rest of food and beverage, because there was just so much more red tape. And social media and TV shows and the ability to build a digital first brand, I think is kind of leveling the playing fields that, got leveled out in the 2000s for, non-alc and food and beverage. So, I think it's just really just about today and tomorrow's consumer isn't necessarily going to some brand that's 100 years old isn't going to resonate with them. Let's just call it how it is.
And I think a big part of it's authenticity, right? And I saw it firsthand through, what these guys are doing with their platform. I have 500 followers and they're all my aunts and uncles, right? But, with hundreds of thousands of followers of what Kyle, Carl, and Amanda have, and then the platform of the show, you're building this authenticity and people could see who you are and kind of along the ride, right? And that's what was so big with craft was you could go to your local brewery, you talk with the brewer and kind of what's in it, why they're doing it, and you're very close with them. What we're able to do is that on a very large scale. So that sets us apart in this world where there's no authenticity with some of these larger brands. So we have a national platform with authenticity that allows us to connect with our direct consumer, right? And Harry, to your point, that then flows uphill, right? The consumer goes to the retailer, asks for Loverboy, retailer asks their distributor, do you have Loverboy? And then we're getting inbounded by every distributor in the US, right? Asking if they could carry Loverboy. So it's total opposite, but it's what everybody wants, but it's what nobody could really get, right? So somehow we've figured out the special sauce with the social platform, with the social network, the platform. And what do you know? The product's good too, so.
And Nick, that's really well put. I also want to just drive home one point. We're like D-list celebrities if you even want to call us a celebrity. It's not just about followers. Like, I can't tell you how many brands all of a sudden have some celebrity that's the new face of the brand. And then you look at the engagement and it doesn't even move the needle. Guess what? Because people see right through it, right? Like, I won't point any names, but one of the biggest beer suppliers launched a celebrity-backed brand. And guess what? There was a big pop, and that was not sustained. So
I assume you're talking about Cacti.
I didn't say
Travis Scott.
I mean, look, he might have like
Whoop.
he might have tasted some samples and contributed the logo, but like, who cares?
Yeah, but okay. So to your point, engagement, right? Direct to consumer, you have all these data and insights. What are your data and insights because of your engagement and all that telling you, A, about your consumer, and B, about where the market's going?
I think that there's a complete blurred line. No one's thinking along the lines of like wine, spirit, beer. Our sweet spot's 25 to 45. The average age of our consumer is probably 28 years old. I think that, sure, they love innovation. Every time we launch something new, they go out of their way to go buy it. So certainly, like to Jordan's point, what was hot last year is not hot anymore. I think that's also just because, like, when a big brand puts something out, it's not going to sizzle for very long.
Yeah.
And I think that people will pay a premium for better quality ingredients and better tasting products. Like, if everybody's using the same formula, like, and every brewery jumped on board and started using the same hard seltzer formula, like, sure, there was going to be like, a lot of noise and saturation. And it's really going to come down to like, who can kind of, get out in front of the pack, whether it's through innovation, branding, platform, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with other reality TV show stars who also are postgraduates that are coming out with products and owning their that's a joke question. I'm not kissing your ass here, but I just don't see too many reality TV stars coming on here and talking about platforms and distribution and logistics. So how do you balance your business and your party life? I need to know, just for my own personal reasons.
Well, to be honest, it's probably the balance aspect is my biggest personal challenge. On top of everything we're doing right now, filming, basically 2 TV shows, running this company, which is probably about 80 hours a week. I'm also planning a wedding for like the 3rd time. And
third wife or same girl?
Yeah, Amanda, who's somewhere.
Watch the show, Harry.
I actually heard there was one of the people on the show was on another podcast I was listening to, and I can't remember her name, but great story, right?
I did say 3rd wedding. It made it sound like,
all right.
Let's just say there was a couple COVID postponements. But yeah, the balance is really hard. I'm also, I would say, a rare breed. A lot of people wind up on TV for obvious reasons. They just want to be famous. I've been grinding it out, doing startups, got my MBA. I've been 20 years old. I had a 50-person company. So, I mean, this is kind of what I live and breathe. And I just looked at Summer House as a way to kind of continue what I was doing. I mean, I was already going out there with my friends to the Hamptons, and I didn't have the idea at the time, but I knew there was this captive audience that was very desirable. And look, there's plenty of people that, I mean, look at The Rock, right? Like, he's leveraging his platform. Now, is he running his tequila company and his energy drink company? No, he's brought in like an A-list team. And so the authenticity is a little diluted, but people love The Rock, right? Like,
right.
At this point,
nobody hates The Rock.
Nobody hates The Rock.
Right. I mean, how could you hate him? There's another day. He's a big lovable. I mean, plus he'd beat the shit out of if you hate him.
Talk about leveraging his platform. He was a wrestler.
I wish he would run for president. He's the one uniter. I think he could unite us all. He could beat COVID with a single fist.
Probably true.
Well, yeah, that's
Well-
all I got. I will say, Kyle, you do hustle. I didn't expect you to hustle the way that you do. I was like, oh, who's this guy wanting to just tell this story? Yeah. No, you hustle, man. So yeah, I will give that
Yeah.
to you.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
I'll
it.
give you I'll give you props too. I mean, it's we get this shit all the time. We talk
Yep.
to people all the time that are just in the business, and then they, they're like, we're gonna ship it directly all over the country, and I'm like, okay, come
Mhm.
see me in 6 months, pal.
Yeah.
We'll see how well you do. So
Yeah, I mean, we
well done.
processed 50,000 direct to consumer orders this year between our merch and our cocktails, and the insights that we have. I mean, Constellation probably paid $50 million for the empathy, consumer data. So we're very much on top of, what's important and what's unique. And I'm proud to say, I mean, we're an 8-person team, basically running 3 different businesses. If you look at the teas, the cocktails, and the merch, and we haven't raised venture, we haven't, collaborated, with a strategic yet. We're just trying to get to a point where we feel like we have a great understanding of this business, because let's be honest, it's complicated, and I was a newbie.
Yeah.
Why I brought in Nick, who had his craft run. So yeah,
Right.
no, I appreciate that.
Nick,
And
before we
didn't,
go, what was your background again? Nick, you worked in the industry for a while, right?
Yeah. Finance background, started craft brewery back in 2012, and then departed in 2018. And as luck would have it, Kyle and I had a friend in common. So then 2019, we paired up and kind of hit the ground running. So
Can you share which craft brewery that was? Or
yeah. Yonkers Brewing Company
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
over in Yonkers. And then, I think one of the big things I brought to the table is, the pitfalls, right, of dealing with distributors and what to do, and most importantly, what not to do as you're kind of working through this stuff, right? So with Kyle's business acumen and platform and everything like that, and my experience on the operational side with beer, it's, we've been able to move pretty quickly. So.
Right. Cool.
And I think a lot of people that come into this industry, like, you almost don't know what you don't know, right? But we've done our best to like educate ourselves, and Nick already had a history of working with distributors and whatnot. And
Everybody always says this is a fun business until it's not. Focus on the positive, right, Biscuit? Well, Biscuit's asleep. We'll let her sleep. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. Gosh, excuse me. I'll have to edit that out. Golly Moses.
And Nick?
Excuse me. If I die on camera, wouldn't that be typical?
Oh my
we'll go
God.
viral.
Yeah. So thank you, Kyle and Nick, for being on. I appreciate the time, and we'll write it up and also publish. So
Our
broadcast
pleasure.
and all that.
Thank you so much
All right,
for
guys.
the time and interest.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.
Nice
everybody.
meeting
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Take care,
Cheers.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for drinking beer.